Hey WILDR folks, Alicia here. This week we are talking all about using plyometrics to train for ski season. This is part of a larger series. We've been talking about stability for skiing and balance training for skiing. It's a super fun sport to train for and a very fun sport to do. Plyometrics themselves are gonna help you react quicker to your environment when you're skiing. They're gonna help you turn on a dime, feel more confident in the air and landing those airs, and feel more stable at high speeds. The cool other thing is that plyometric training, although sometimes ignored right now in general population training, is super helpful for keeping you spry and healthy as you age. Plyometrics are helpful whether you are developing as a teen or an athlete, or whether you are a more mature adult. It's all about having the right dose and the right level of plyo training for you. And that's why we're breaking this video into 3 parts. Today, we're gonna talk about the most basic plyo training, and then we're gonna have another video. I think the next video will cover levels 2 and 3 for plyometrics. It just depends how in the weeds I get when I start talking about them. So if you don't wanna miss that, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. We are getting close to 1,000 subs, which is kind of crazy for me. And so I wanna thank every single one of you for watching this video as well. So what are plyos anyways? Plyometrics are exercises involving repeated rapid stretching and contracting of muscle, as by jumping or rebounding, to increase power in varying directions. Plyometric training has been shown to reduce your risk of injury on the hill, to increase your bone density and increase your tendon strength. They're so good. There is a common misconception out there that plyometric training is bad for your knees, and my response to that would be it's bad if you are doing too much too soon. The overarching safety tips that I will give for them are always make sure you have 24 to 48 hours rest in between plyo sessions. Make sure that you are videoing yourself to see if your mechanics are sound. Never jump off of something that you can't jump onto, and don't increase your training load until you've been training for multiple weeks, allowing time for those tendons and ligaments and bones to make the changes you're asking them to make. So back to plyos. Any plyo movement has 3 parts. It's gonna have the way down, eccentric, the turnaround time, amortization, and then the way up, the concentric portion of the movement. And we can play with the variables, like how long it takes you to go down, how long the turnaround time is, and how long you go up to make plyometrics have different effects on your body. Level 1 plyo training is gonna be amazing if you've never done plyos before, if you haven't done plyos in your training for a little while, and they're also really good as warm-ups for the more advanced levels. I'm gonna talk about how to actually work these into your workouts in a second, but first let's talk about the actual plyometric movements or exercises you can do. So first things first, let's talk about an air squat into a top freeze. We're gonna learn the mechanics of jumping here, and we're gonna do it without necessarily overloading our muscles with a landing. So what I want you to do after you're warm is we're gonna just go into an air squat, but we're going to power up and squeeze every muscle in our body into full extension at the top. So you'll notice you're up on your tiptoes and everything is really tight when we're at the top of that movement. So this would be just your first level of plyos, and or the way that you warm up for them. Then we're going to advance to our pause squat jump. So what we're going to do here is the first idea of landing solidly. We're going to squat down just to 90 degrees or higher if you're not comfortable with a 90-degree squat. We're then going to power up and land quietly. So we've got all those components here. We've got eccentric going down. We have that turnaround time, amortization. We're really extending it here. We're pausing. And then we've got the concentric. And then when we land, we're doing the eccentric, the amortization, and the concentric again as we go back to our starting position. Now, as we get better at this, we can link a couple together, and we can also, for variety, turn this into exactly the same movement, but in a split squat position. So feet are split apart. I'm in a bit of a close lunge. I'm going to sink down to as far as I'm comfortable, up and land. Video is your best friend here. So set up that camera and take a video of a couple of reps. We wanna be mindful of a couple things. We wanna make sure that our knees are tracking over our second toe from the outside-ish. We definitely don't want them diving in. We wanna feel like our toes, our feet are spread wide as we land. Our core is tight to provide a stable base, and we are bending at the hips, not at the waist as we land. So those are nice components to work on now, and they're gonna translate into more power as we do more difficult plyometric movements. Second exercise is going to be lateral skater jumps. You can do these a couple of ways. You can do them quickly, bounce, 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 back and forth. You can also do them with a pause. I suggest you start with the longer pause, similar to the way we did that with the pause squat jumps. And then as you become more confident and as you are warmed up and ready to go, you can do a few where you've got multiple contacts before a pause. Now, the side benefit here is working on a little bit of balance with your landing. It won't always go exactly to plan, but the ability to apply this pressure laterally is going to really translate well to the hill. And all of the same talking points apply here. Make sure that you are hinging and having that athletic stance instead of bending through the back. Make sure that you are corkscrewing your feet into the ground with your landing, so kind of really turning that femur outwards and using your glutes, and make sure that you feel stable upon landing. Next exercise we're going to talk about is a forward jump. These are also pretty common, but I have a few recommendations to begin with. Start with jumps that aren't at your maximum. So you can try jumps that are sub-maximal, but really focusing on a light landing, so a quiet landing as opposed to a slapping of the floor. And you can link these together to really get that plyometric effect happening. But before you do that, make sure that a single jump looks solid and has great technique before you start loading them consecutively. To change it up, I really love doing these backwards. So a backward jump, I find that it really teaches that full body extension. You can really feel your glutes working as well. And it's a good way to take distance out of it because you're not going to be going as far backwards as you would forwards. You can link these together too. You can do multiples. I think that's a really fun way to do it. And again, we're varying the load on the tendons and ligaments to encourage building of that tissue. And the last level 1 plyometric exercise we're talking about today is going to be our single leg hops. We can do these either over a line or we can do them around a square. That particular setup is what they have used in training specifically designed to reduce knee injuries in teenage skiers. So I like the box idea because I think that it works on that multi-directional aspect of training, and then also it's fun. And then in addition to that, I find that it's actually pretty hard to be precise when you're trying to jump inside and outside of a box. So it's really engaging for your mind, and it's fun to improve as you work on it. And a couple final notes for plyometric training in level 1. Remember, start small. It's not going to take a crazy number of contacts in order for your body to start making some changes to your tendons and ligaments, but it will take time. So whereas muscles can start changing in as little as 2 weeks of exercise, your tendons and ligaments are going to be on a longer horizon. They're going to take weeks, if not months, to make changes. So you want to improve or increase your load or the number of sets and reps that you're doing very slowly. I would start, if you're brand new, with 50 contacts at first in a week. So if you break that into a few different exercises, you're not doing more than 10 or 20 contacts per session, and then increase to 100 as you feel comfortable. From there, it's not going to take more than 100 to make changes in that first month and a half, 2 months. So start small, but definitely incorporate these because you're going to see huge benefits on snow this winter. All right, I hope you have a wilder week, and we'll talk to you guys soon.